Good morning, children. Children, in the class today, we'll deliberate on atomic dipole moment. After that, we'll study BH curve. Very, very important. What are the applications of BH curve? We'll come to know today. So let's begin with atomic dipole moment. Children, you know, in an atom, there are electrons revolving around the nucleus in circular orbits. And these electrons moving on circular path is analogous to current carrying loops. So as electrons revolve around nucleus in circular orbit, every electron produces some magnetic dipole moment for an atom. So what is that magnetic dipole moment? That magnetic dipole moment is what is called as atomic magnetic dipole moment. Well, if this is an electron revolving around nucleus on the circular path of radius r with speed v, with orbital speed v, then what is current? This charge is moving like this, corresponding current is going to flow like this. What is the value of that current? Current, we know, its rate of flow of charge, ratio of charge to the time in which the charge flows. Well, if we look at any point over its circumference, we'll find that E charge passes through this point after every time t. T is the time period of revolution. Therefore, current, because of this revolving electron, is E by t. What is t? T is time period, and that is what? Distance of one complete revolution upon speed. And distance for one complete revolution is 2 pi r, and speed is v. Therefore, the time period is 2 pi r upon v. If we substitute that time period here, we get I as EV upon 2 pi r. This is the current because of electron revolving around the nucleus. Well, we know already magnetic dipole moment of a current carrying coil is I into A. A is the cross-sectional area of the coil. We know this. If we write I as EV by 2 pi r and A as area of this circular loop, and what is that? Pi r square. We solve it, what do we get? We get EVR by 2. So this is magnetic dipole moment because of an electron moving on circular path of radius r around nucleus. Well, this value of magnetic dipole moment is also called as Bohr magneton. 1 Bohr magneton. This is atomic unit of magnetic dipole moment of an atom. Well, we know that magnetic monopoles do not exist. If we try to separate north from south in a bar magnet, we would never succeed. We go on breaking down a magnet, even the tiniest particle would behave like a magnet. And the atomic magnet, the tiniest of the tiniest particle which behaves like a magnet, is nothing but magnet because of an electron revolving around nucleus. Well, an atom acquires net value of magnetic dipole moment only when there are unpaired electrons. Otherwise, in an atom, if all electrons are paired, then what happens? Because of a paired electron, the spin, the rotation of electrons are in opposite direction. So their algebraic sum of the magnetic moment comes out to be 0. So an atom acquires or has a distinct finite non-zero value of magnetic dipole moment only when the atom has unpaired electron. So this is what is the basic reason of magnetic character of any substance. Well, now let's move on to BH curve. Well, BH curve, children, is a very popular curve which is drawn only for ferromagnetic substances. It is also called as hysteresis curve. Well, what is B in this BH curve? B is net magnetic field in the substance we have already studied, and this H is magnetizing field. Well, a ferromagnetic substance normally behaves like a non-magnetic substance. If you take an ordinary piece of iron, it won't behave like a magnet. Well, what happens when this substance is placed in magnetic field, magnetizing field? Well, as long magnetizing field is 0, there is no magnetic field in the substance. But as we increase the magnetizing field, as we increase the value of magnetizing field acting over the substance, the net magnetic field in the substance increases, and that is what is shown here. This is magnetizing field in one direction, this is magnetic field in one direction. When H is 0, B is 0. When we increase the value of H, the value of B increases, and the graph is a graph like this. This is a graph between B and H. And what happens as we increase the value of H, the value of B increases, and finally a stage is reached when the value of magnetic field in the substance becomes maximum. This is called saturation state. We call this as saturation state. And what happens in this state? In this state, the value of magnetic induction in the substance becomes maximum. We can increase the value of H to any higher values, but the magnetic induction in the substance becomes constant. It stops increasing. This is what is saturation state. The substance behaves like strongest magnet, and the magnetic character, or say the magnetic dipole moment of the substance, stops increasing. We may increase H to any higher values, but B becomes constant. Thereafter, if we decrease H, well, value of B also decreases. If we start decreasing the value of H, the value of B also starts decreasing. And what do we see that? As we decrease H, value of B decreases. But what happens? To our utter surprise, the value of H becomes 0, but value of B doesn't become 0. So we decrease H and we expected that B would also decrease, and of course it decreases. But what happens? Even if we make H 0, B doesn't become 0. B does not become 0. That means some magnetic field is retained in the substance. Some magnetic induction is retained in the substance. This property of the substance is called as retentivity. The retentivity is ability of a ferromagnetic substance to retain some of the magnetic field in the substance even if magnetic field it is placed in is removed. Well, so even if H is 0, B is there, and this field which is there in the substance is called a retained magnetic field, and this is what is called as magnetic hysteresis. See, B and H move together simultaneously. This H comes back to 0, but B doesn't come back. It has lagged behind. So what is magnetic hysteresis? Magnetic hysteresis is lagging behind of B with respect to H. See, B and H move together. We acquire the saturation state. We decrease H, and we expected that B would decrease. Yes, it decreases, but when H becomes 0, B does not become 0. That means B lags behind. So lagging behind of B with respect to H is what is called as magnetic hysteresis. And if we wish to make this B, magnetic induction in the substance, 0, we need to apply magnetizing field in opposite direction. When we apply the magnetizing field in opposite direction, what happens? The magnetic induction in the substance becomes 0. The magnetic induction in the substance becomes 0. At whichever magnetizing field in the opposite direction, magnetic induction becomes 0 is called coercive field, and the phenomenon is called as coercivity. So what is coercivity? Coercivity is the ability of the substance by virtue of which we need to apply magnetizing field in opposite direction so as to completely demagnetize it. Now, if we increase the magnetizing field in opposite direction, the whole process is repeated. That means we increase value of H in the opposite direction, substance is magnetized. The value of magnetic field in the substance increases, and we reach what? The saturation state. This time the saturation state is what? In the opposite direction. We reach the saturation state. Saturation state is as usual the state in which the magnetic field in the substance becomes constant, whatever may be the value of H thereafter. Well, if we decrease the value of H in opposite direction, what happens? The magnetic induction decreases, and again we see what? Magnetic hysteresis. The value of H decreases, B of course decreases. Value of H decreases, B of course decreases. Value of H decreases, B of course decreases. But even if this H becomes 0, B doesn't become 0. So this field, which is minus Br, is a retained magnetic field in the substance. So this time the magnetic field which is retained in the substance is minus Br, that is in the opposite direction. Again it is called as retentivity, the phenomenon. Well, if we want to demagnetize it, we again need to apply magnetizing field in the opposite direction, and this magnetizing field in the opposite direction is what? Plus Hc, coercive field. And if we increase this magnetizing field, what happens? The substance again reaches the same saturation state. So this is BH curve. This is a cyclic curve. This is initial magnetization. This is demagnetization. This is magnetization in the opposite direction. This is demagnetization and again magnetization. So this is a cyclic curve. And remember, this curve is only drawn for ferromagnetic substance. The area enclosed within the BH curve, the area enclosed within the BH curve represents what? That area represents the loss of energy during magnetization and demagnetization of the substance. If the substance is continuously magnetized and demagnetized, magnetized and demagnetized, then what happens? In one complete cycle, the energy loss is proportional to the area enclosed. Well, we have already understood what is retentivity and coercivity, but what is their significance? Retentivity represents what? The ability of substance to retain magnetic field, and higher is the retentivity of the substance, stronger is the magnet. Higher is the value of retentivity, stronger is the magnet created by it. C of course represents what? Coercivity, and higher is the coercivity of the substance, more difficult it is to demagnetize the substance. So coercivity represents what? The ability of a substance not to get it demagnetized. If coercivity is high, the substance is not easily demagnetizable. Retentivity high means the substance is going to behave like a stronger magnet once magnetized. And area enclosed of course represents the value of loss of energy during one cycle in magnetization and demagnetization of the substance. Now this BH curve gives us some very important information about the ferromagnetic substance, and based on this information we are able to decide the utility of the substance. Like this is a BH curve of say soft iron. This is BH curve of soft iron. This is BH curve of soft iron. And what is important about this curve? What is important about this curve is the fact that it has high value of retentivity. Its coercivity is very low, and area enclosed within the BH curve is low. So this is area enclosed which is low. Its coercivity, this is coercive field minus Sc and plus C, they are also very small, and the retentivity of course is high. So soft iron once magnetized behaves like a stronger magnet because of high value of R. But since C is very small, therefore it can be easily demagnetized. And once the substance is demagnetized and magnetized, there is loss of energy. Area enclosed is less. Therefore, there is lesser loss of energy during its demagnetization and magnetization in one complete cycle. Therefore, this soft iron is used to make what? Soft iron is used to make temporary magnet. Temporary magnets can be easily demagnetized. On the other hand, if you make BH curve for steel, then the BH curve for steel is a very thick curve like this. This curve shows that this is for steel. this curve shows that steel has high retentivity, steel has high coercivity, and there is high value of area enclosed within the curve. That means steel once magnetized is going to behave like a very strong magnet. Coercivity is high, that means it cannot be easily demagnetized, and it has very high area enclosed within BH curve. That means once we try to demagnetize it, a lot of energy is required. Therefore, it is practically very difficult to demagnetize steel. Therefore, steel is used to make what? Permanent magnet. Permanent magnet. The steel is used to make permanent magnet because of the fact that it has high retentivity, high coercivity, and large value of area enclosed within the BH curve, whereas soft iron is used to make temporary magnets because it has low coercivity and low area enclosed. So with this we come to the end of today's class. Thank you very much. God bless you all.